for me to jump on and say hello. I have been MIA for a little bit. I do have a really good excuse. I had pretty major surgery on my neck in early October. Was completely laid up. Today is 7 weeks post-op. I just started driving again last week and am pretty much fully on back to work now. It took a little bit of time. I had that surgery the first time in 2009. I had C4, 5, and 5, 6 fused together in my neck. And at that time, they told me that it would probably be about 10 years before I'd have to have the one above it done. Because once you have the hardware in, your body loses its flexibility, and eventually those ones on top, the ones that are connected, start to wear out, and you start to have issues. And that's about exactly right. I started really having trouble with my neck in 2019, and I fought it and fought it and fought it. And one of the reasons that I fought it and put it off, even though I was in horrific pain, was because the surgery the first time was one of the worst experiences of my life. It was extremely painful. The recovery was a nightmare. Nobody warned me about any of that. I had it done shortly after Randy had gone overseas, and so I was by myself with Jake. He was little, and yeah, the whole thing was just a freaking nightmare. And our company is growing, praise the Lord, and we are super busy, and I just could not find a good time to have that surgery done, knowing, as I did, that the recovery was going to be rough and the surgery was going to be rough and the whole deal. And as God does, God made a way, and he was with me through the whole thing. And I was one day post-op still in the hospital, up making my bed. Like, it was so much better this time around. And the other thing that I did, aside from pray and have a huge group of prayer warriors praying for me, and trust that the Lord would help me heal as quickly as possible, is I followed the doctor's orders this time. I really did. I did exactly what they told me to do. I rested. I did not try and do too much too soon. And it, really, really helped. So I'm feeling great. I am back to work. Sandland Construction is super busy. We have 2 builds going on right now, and we have a couple in the pipeline. We are helping to build the Ozarks, which is super exciting. And yeah, life is really good for us. I wanted to share a couple of things with y'all. So first of all, I wanted to let you know that we have successfully helped some folks move here now, and it's going well for them. Everybody who we've helped to get here is really enjoying life here, is happy. And if y'all are watching this, if you want to comment down below, please feel free. I know some people really, are concerned about their privacy at this point with all the crazy going on. But, yeah. We are now going on, let's see, we moved in 2020, so I guess we'll be going on 3 years this coming spring. And we're super happy. Like, there is never a doubt in our minds that we made the right choice to leave the big city. Even though it's hard to find housing, even though, we gave up a lot of quote-unquote comforts, good restaurants, big grocery stores, things like that. We did give that up, quote-unquote, but, man, it has been worth every minute. We are so happy and thankful to be here. And the way that things are kind of going crazy in the world, I just personally would not want to be living in a city at this point, on this point in the timeline, the historical timeline. Like, things are crazy everywhere. I don't know if y'all have seen it. I don't even know how much I can talk about it because I see YouTube is pulling down videos left and right. there's some big stuff happening in the largest Asian country in the world right now. The people have had enough, and they are protesting like crazy. And there, you have to be super, super brave to do that, because they will just kill you. They will kill you, they will shoot you, they will lock you up in prisons and throw away the key, they will torture your families. They're communists, right? So the people there have no freedoms. And they are protesting. They're done. They locked people down to the point where they welded them inside their apartments and homes so they could not get out. And my understanding was a couple of weeks ago, there was a major fire in an apartment building, and all the people died because they literally had no chance to escape. Right? Their government sealed them inside the buildings and literally locked the door and threw out the key. Like, literally. So, that's one of the reasons why I get really PO'd at our American, quote-unquote, socialist and communists. Like, you don't even realize what you're asking. And if you do, you're freaking evil. Right? That's the bottom line. If you truly understand what communism is, and you're trying to usher it in here, you are evil AF. Like, there is no other way around it. So, a couple of other big things that are happening in the world, that kind of sprung up over Thanksgiving is Brazil. Our media won't cover it at all. If you follow citizen journalists, you're going to see what's going on. Brazil, since their election, where Bolsonaro, aka Tropical Trump, was cheated out of the election, the people have been protesting nonstop. The people en masse went to the military and said, you have to step in and do something. And as of, Thanksgiving Day and Friday, it looks like they may step in and do something. Like, it's super exciting times. So people are waking up all over the world. Iran, the people of Iran, again, our media won't cover it. We do have communists running our country now, communist sympathizers, and they won't help these people. If we had somebody like Trump in office, right, we'd be lending a hand to the people of Brazil. We'd be lending a hand to the people of the biggest Asian country. We'd be lending a hand to the Iranians. We would be doing everything we could to help the people of the world get freedom and retain freedom. And, unfortunately, it's like right whenever the Brandon got in office and the Cuban uprising happened, and the people of Cuba were crying out for help, and they threw our border wide open, and they let people from every country imaginable cross our border except for the Cubans and the Venezuelans. They don't want them here because they don't want them to tell the American people the truth about what's really going on. And they would. So, again, I don't know how much of this, y'all probably won't even see this. It'll probably be so shadow banned that, you won't see it. But I have to talk about it because it's important. It's historically important where we are in the world right now. So the other big thing is what's happening in America with the grooming of the children. The sexualizing and the grooming of the children has just gotten completely out of hand. And the big fashion house, Balenciaga, got nailed for it over the holiday weekend. They did a promotion, magazine style layout with children looking very unhappy and miserable, toddlers looking sad and abused and neglected, holding teddy bears that were dressed in BDSM apparel. And finally enough people got angry enough that they, stood up and started speaking out. A lot has changed since Elon Musk has taken over Twitter because he is, allowing conservatives to speak. And when conservatives are allowed to speak, in mass, we stand up against these kind of things. We stand up against the grooming of children. We stand up against communism. We stand up against socialism. We stand up against radical violence, right? So now, the next thing is, now Biden wants to try for a gun grab again. He once again wants to try and take our guns away. He says it's disgusting that Americans want to bear arms, that we're horrible people. Don't forget now, he is sending arms by the shipload to the Ukraine. Those people are allowed to protect themselves, right? Not us, though. Because who are we going to protect ourselves from? What was the Second Amendment made for? It's for us to protect ourselves against the government. And we have an out-of-control, evil government running things right now. And, that's a problem. And eventually, they push us to the point where we're going to take our country back. That's where it's headed. None of us want to see that, because that's a horrible thing. It's a horrible, horrible thing to have war on your own soil, and especially if it's a civil war. It's terrible. Our nation has already been through that once, and nobody wants to go through it again. But, they're pushing. And I think going after the kids is really kind of drawing the line now. Whenever you start saying that children, it's okay to sexualize children, that pedophilia is okay, that parents who stand up to protect their children are terrorists, whenever that's, the kind of stuff that's coming from your government, that's a pretty big problem, right? So, yeah, it's bad. And I don't know how many of y'all watch geez, it just went out of my head. Y'all are gonna know who I'm talking about. Her name is Stacy, and they are homesteaders in Missouri. They have a huge channel. Everybody knows who they are, and I am completely having a brain cramp. But anyway, they released a video this weekend. I'll link it up. Doug and Stacy. Thank you, Lord. Doug and Stacy. I love them. I did not forget their names on purpose. Like, I truly just had a brain cramp. Probably because I'm out here driving. Anyway, they did a video over the weekend about a Texas tractor supply that had an event that was sponsored by drag queens and, the grooming kind of deal. It's disgusting. And we don't want it in the heartland. I am brave enough to say it. We do not want that in our state and in our part of the country. If you want to do that in New York, if you want to do that in California, apparently the people who live in your states are okay with that. We're not okay with that in Texas or Arkansas or Missouri or Louisiana or Kentucky or Tennessee. We don't allow that kind of behavior here. We're not okay with it. Now, we have some major crazy liberals in our big cities, right? Most of them came here from other states. They're not from here. They transplanted from California or New York or Washington, Seattle area. Most of them are tech kind of people, and they came here for jobs, and they want to change our culture to the culture where they came from. And we're not all about it. We're not having it. That's why we have groups like the Ozark Patriots, because we're not going to go for it. You're not welcome here. That kind of behavior is not welcome here. I think one of the big mistakes our side makes, and I have been guilty of it as much as anybody, is calling out the the people as opposed to the behavior, right? I don't believe that entire groups of people are bad people, but there is behavior that is unacceptable and that we will not allow to flourish here. And pedophilia and the sexualization of children is one of those behaviors. It's not going to fly here. And if everybody would stand up, like, you know, Robbie and Landon Starbuck in Tennessee, like the Ozark Patriots here, if everybody would stand up and say, no, we're not going to do that here. It's not acceptable. And if you're going to behave in that manner, if you're going to molest children, there will be consequences. We could change the world. We could change our communities. We could save our communities. But there's just not enough people willing to stand up and speak out like there should be. And the people with the platforms need to be the ones to speak up the loudest because they have the opportunity to influence so many people. I'm going to be honest with you. There are a lot of homestead channels that I used to follow that I don't follow anymore because they have been absolutely silent on some of these things that are going on in our nation. And silence in this time in history is complicit. That's what it is. It is no different than whenever they loaded people up on boxcars in Germany and the people in churches heard the screams as the boxcars rolled by. And they admitted later that they would just sing louder to drown it out. If you have a big platform and you are unwilling to speak out against what's going on, you are complicit. That's just where we are. So there's a lot of people that I used to really enjoy. You know, I got into them because they were homesteaders. Some of them I got into because they were homesteaders and they were pretty local to my area. They have big channels, big followings, and, you know, I hear nothing out of them. And so therefore, I don't follow them anymore. Because if your goal is just to live your life and just make money off of your channel and buy bigger farms and more property, and you are completely and totally unwilling to speak up about the atrocities that are going on, not only in our nation, but around the world, you don't have the type of personal integrity that interests me. We have to stand up. We have to fight back because we're losing. Some ways we're really winning, but in a lot of ways where we should be winning, we're losing because people are just so unwilling to risk speaking up. And that's one of the reasons why I respect and admire Doug and Stacy so much. And, you know, why I still follow their channel. Like, I personally, I've told y'all this before, I'm never going to be an off-gridder like that. Like, I'm not going to poop in a bucket. I got to draw the line somewhere. And a flush toilet is one of the places that I draw the line. So that's just me personal, right? I know a lot of people feel differently about it, and that's cool. But I don't follow them because I'm trying to follow in their footsteps as far as off-grid living goes, right? They do have some great content with that, and I have picked up a lot of great tips from them, but it only goes so far. But I have such enormous respect for them now because, you know, Doug has been speaking out like crazy, and he doesn't have to. They live completely off-grid on their own land. They are almost 100% self-sufficient, and they could probably ride out the coming Civil War just fine, right? But he cares. and he's a man of integrity, and he sees what's going on, and he has to say something. And I have huge amount of respect and admiration. Like I said, whenever I was struggling over their names, it was not because I don't have great admiration for them. I was just having a brain fart moment. So anyway, that's where I think we are. I think some amazing things are happening in the world, that people are waking up in mass. If you have not seen the documentary that is being shown for free on Rumble, that I cannot say the name because they will pull my video, but Death Quickly, pick some, some different names. Like same word, but different. Same meaning, but different. So, yeah. If you have not seen that documentary, you should see it. Now, there has been some people have said, well, it's not 100% accurate. They used some footage that they said people died, but a couple of them didn't actually die. That's not the point. The point of the whole film is the people who know the truth because of what they do for a living have been trying to speak up for almost 3 years now and have been silenced, okay? And in this case, it's the embalmers. The embalmers know the truth. They're the ones that handle all the dead bodies. What they have to say, I tell you what, a lot of us knew about it from the beginning. A lot of us knew. We just knew. We had the intuition. Something is not right here. And, boy. It's sad. It's really, really sad. And people are losing loved ones suddenly. That's one of the 2 words in the title. So, if you haven't seen it, you should try and see it. Because probably you know somebody who was gone really quickly, who was there and then they were gone. And it wasn't because they caught a really bad cold. It was because they took what was supposed to prevent a really bad cold. So that's it for us. I am going to wrap this up as I am approaching town, as you can see. And I thank you all who tune in. Leave me a comment and let me know how y'all are doing. Because last time I shot a video, I had some people hit me up and say, hey, I hadn't heard from you for a while. It was good to hear from you. And this is what I'm doing in my life. And I love to hear that kind of stuff. I love to hear how y'all are doing. I know a lot of folks who, well, I don't know about a lot, probably a handful, maybe 5 or 6 people who have watched my channel for a while have, gone on to get out of the city and get to free states. And I think that's really cool. And I'd love to hear how you all are doing with all that. So drop a comment, share what's going on in your life, and let's all please, 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 just join me in praying for the people in the biggest country in Asia, and the people of Brazil, and the people of Iraq, and people everywhere that are hungry, hungry, hungry for freedom. I had somebody say, well, it really stinks because we know the Democrats aren't going to do anything to help those people. And, my answer is, if we trust and believe in God Almighty, we don't need the Democrats. We just need to pray and believe and have faith that the Lord will step in. And He will, because He is good. And you have to keep an eye out for those little changes. It's not always the big things, Sometimes it's a lot of little things turn into one big thing. And before you know it, we have some positive change and some positive things happening. So, all right, that's it for me. I will catch you all on the next one. And I hope you're doing well and life is amazing.